Upon release, Toy Story was an instant success. It was a breakout at the box office as audiences came out in droves to their local theaters, instantly falling in love with these characters and the world building. Kids got to experience this fantastical world where toys had their own little adventures, something I'm sure the majority of us had imagined at some point in our lives. For all I know, this film and the subsequent films in the franchise incited this line of thinking. I don't know, I wasn't born at the time of the first film's release. I was, however, recently able to catch the re-release of the film in theaters, celebrating the 30-year anniversary of the franchise, which will be in a couple months. This was my first time seeing it on the big screen. I never saw the 3D re-release back in the day, and while I've seen this film too many times to count by this point, a few times a year I'd say, it's always great to see it. Being such a timeless film truly never gets old. While this is an all-ages film and kids obviously love it and still love it in the rest of the Toy Story films, Disney recently even revealed it was the most watched animated film franchise on Disney+. Adults have also always resonated with the franchise as well, as there's always been themes of growing older, not only for the human characters at the center of the films, but also for the toys, being decades-old collector's items at this point, along with a frequently interpreted metaphor of the franchise centering around parenthood. With how many times I've watched these films, I've constantly looked at them through a different lens, and it really isn't hard to view Woody as a father figure to Andy, especially as the addition of Buzz Lightyear causes an interesting dynamic to form, a pseudo-step-parent relationship, or at least one representation of such. By now you're probably questioning the title and thumbnail, and I don't blame you, as it's not even looking at it metaphorically. But to get there we must talk about the most recent film in the Toy Story franchise. Not Toy Story 4, but Lightyear, the spin-off from 2022. I know many are not fans of this one. They dislike it or outright hate it. I made a passing comment in my Monsters University video, thank you for the love on that one, as a side note, and it seems like any drop of praise is unearned for most. Though that really isn't the topic of this video, as within the world of Toy Story, this is a movie, one that we know Andy loved. The theory which I discovered, though I've never seen any videos of anyone going in depth on, is that Andy's father is the in-universe actor who plays Buzz in the movie, which would be live action in the world of Toy Story. While that's kind of a mouthful at first, bear with me here. The topic of Andy's father has been a talking point for years. We don't know if he's passed, if there was a divorce, or if Andy ever even knew him. There was some information going back a few years from someone claiming the original story involved Andy's dad having polio, but all of that was debunked by Andrew Stanton. I'm surprised that ever even caught on, honestly. I think that most assume Woody was a gift from his father, but as of now, nothing in relation to this character has been discussed in the franchise. But has Andy's dad being an actor been the plan from the get-go? Obviously not. Not that this will be debunked as a theory, because it either happens or it doesn't. The franchise has shown it's not afraid to introduce new elements of backstory, which this would certainly fall under. Woody being a part of Woody's Roundup gang, for instance, is just an enrichment of the world, and Andy's dad being linked to one of his favorite toys I think does give some additional depth to the films, especially the first film. While he wasn't introduced in the film just to save costs on animating humans, you could potentially give story reasons behind it, while connecting him to another corner of the franchise, one that who knows if the mainline films are courageous enough to explore. A large basis for the theory is obviously the absence of the character in the films, and for a series going on to its 5th entry, I suppose audiences don't want any unanswered questions, though most haven't bothered to wonder this, I assume. Andy also does just share some physical characteristics to the film Buzz Lightyear. They share the same hair color and eye color. Even looking at the redesign they gave younger Andy for Toy Story 4, he is more in line with how Buzz would be designed only 3 years later, with there very likely being overlap in these productions at least at some steps of the way. The series takes place in California, and while that is a massive state, it does put it within closer proximity to the film industry than, like, say, Rhode Island. The Davises also seem pretty well off, despite Miss Davis's questionable employment. The theory I've seen is that he leaves the family to become an acting megastar a la Hector and Coco, and either sets up his family for success, maybe through child support, maybe he's still part of the family, and we just don't see him. Though that would be weird with the lack of, at the very least, photo appearances, but you never know. Another layer of the theory I've seen suggested that I don't agree with is Andy inexplicably liking Lightyear, which I don't think is such an insane thing, though some do. and that his main reason for liking this would be his paternal link. Which, sure, maybe even Andy's dad sent him the Buzz Lightyear he gets in the first movie. Now, off the bat, do I think this is the case? At the moment, no. There's no reason to. But I think it's a very fun concept that could end up retroactively being true. So let's play around with some hypotheticals here. Under the productions of either Toy Story 4 or Lightyear, the two most recent entries, was any of this a thought in the air? We know that the idea of Toy Story 5 had to at least be kicking around at that time. And if so, I feel they would have attempted to link the spin-off to the subsequent entry. And from everything we know about Toy Story 5, it seems they are attempting to avoid it. Now, we do have recent quotes from Andrew Stanton teasing future installments in the Toy Story franchise after Toy Story 5, which I know is to the dismay of many, a whole lot at this point, but I really think we just have to sit back and see what comes to fruition at this moment. In the universe, we get a Toy Story 6, 7, or 8. Would this even be a plotline that would be brought up? Maybe Andy gets a spin-off movie where he's a lawyer or something, and Chris Evans plays his dad because he was signed on to another movie. But then I just wonder, what are we doing at this point? I think in some sort of flashback scene, or maybe even not, they could put a picture of the Davises, and you just see a guy that looks to be his father, that also looks to be Buzz Lightyear 2022, if you want this to be a part of the story. While I enjoy the recontextualization, I already know others would feel it's dumb or confusing. But if it's an Easter egg that gives some background info, I feel it's fine. At this moment, however, Pixar hasn't been the most outspoken about Lightyear. They don't advertise it a whole lot, it really doesn't get any form of merchandise, so they'd definitely be hesitant to even mention it in a Toy Story movie. Maybe they feel it'd weigh the film down. When we first heard about the 50 Buzz Lightyears that were these anniversary edition toys that would serve in an antagonistic role, I was really hoping one of them would be the movie-accurate one, as I think it could be tongue-in-cheek. Though I feel at the very most they'll give Buzz a new catchphrase that references socks, if even that. I do feel that if we continue to evolve the character of Woody, who we've seen go through so much at this point, they may eventually try to show what he was up to before Andy, and it may involve Andy's father or very well could be his mom. And if they ever show what he looked like, all of this could be disproven. But then again, this whole idea may just get too meta. Like, would we end up seeing an animated movie attempt to create a movie set for another animated movie where an actor is playing Buzz Lightyear just to link it to an old movie? Just to not do a proper sequel to Lightyear despite setting it up? Probably no. But when in doubt, just do the Easter egg method. This is all feeling very Pixar theory-esque, and for that, stay tuned for a future video. If I haven't made it clear, this is a concept that I would really enjoy seeing, though the chances of this being possible are so very low. Though in terms of theories, I think it's a lot more fun to look at something that, at the very least, has the potential of being real, if only because there is a Toy Story 5 on the way. But I like this not only because I really enjoyed Lightyear, but mainly what it means for the underlying parenting metaphor for the Toy Story franchise. This was a fun concept for a video, kind of different for me. There wasn't too much to talk about for the theory itself since it stems from mainly just looks and location. But let me know what you think of this. Would this be a good revelation to the franchise, or is this jumping the shark? Thank you for watching as always. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.